You all heard of Donald Trump. Donald Trump's slogan is "Make America Great Again." And I feel like you're making Africa great now. And I think he needs to realize that. I read the outline of the conference has certain pillars of interest: energy, finance, food, industry, and digital infrastructure. And I think those are exactly the right, what we would call in journalism, the right obsessions to have. An obsession is something you look at, you feel like we're going to be so focused on delivering in that arena to make sure that the ecosystem that you're creating solves these different hubs of interest. And I thought I might provide just a couple of thoughts on each one of these very quickly. First of all, on the front of energy and the extraordinary new discoveries in sub-Saharan Africa of oil and gas, that you are an energy superpower. And as you look at the complexities in the international system today, Algeria and Africa broadly can be the providers that solve a lot of the global networks, the global problems that we have today. If you look at Europe, you look at Japan, you look at Asia and places that have energy knots, Africa can be the one that solves those. And when you look at what's coming online, the new that's coming online, this is a huge strength. I was also fascinated to see, even in Algeria, but more broadly in Africa, an action plan that you put together on renewables. Because when you realize when you have an oil and energy asset, it's very important to be able to turn that asset into intellectual assets, into human talent, into human capital that can more broadly be deployed across everything else. And I see that happening. My colleague who's going to come in and moderate the next session, he's one of the giants of human talent and identifying human talent for Africa. So that's the connection that you can make. On the finance side, I'm different than many people. It's amazing to look at the number of finance people that are here to invest in new businesses, but I'm going to give you a Steve Clemens view of finance that's different than most. When you're developing a state, when you're developing Algeria, when you're developing other African states, the big, most critical element is helping that capital stick inside your country and build and stay. The problem in many developing states, not necessarily in Africa, but if you look at Southeast Asia and other countries, is capital flight. If you look at Afghanistan today and South Asia, where so much has been invested in, their challenge is capital flight. So the key is to get the ecosystem to keep that capital stuck and building and growing, and that is what transforms lives and it transforms economy. And I don't think, in a friendly way, I don't think Africa is there yet in figuring out that element of it. And I think that the Goldman Sachs of the world and the high finance industry is not helpful because they want to be able to move in and out fast. I think you have to think about this as one area. So that's one provocation I'll put on the table. In the food area, all I want to say is this is one of the richest, best economies for food production, and it's an embarrassment whenever you don't have people being fed. You had people being malnourished and not growing to the potential we have. But again, to be critical of the United States in aid and development in parts of Africa, and we wipe out the indigenous food markets, food production, and I think that Africa needs to realize, one of the things I realized in this conference, you have confidence, you have belief in yourselves, you shouldn't just take everything from us where we dump food into the system, we actually wreck the economics of it. So it's an area where I'm critical of Europe and the United States, and I think you should have the backbone and the confidence to defend your markets, to defend your producers, and to defend indigenous food production and marketing. On the industrial side, this place is growing, and I don't think there's anything I can necessarily say here, but in the parts, Algeria is doing a great job, but when you look at other parts of Africa on industrial development, the key thing a government has to get right is how to mimic the market. The market may not be big enough to make the smartest decisions that can focus where infrastructure is needed and how you socialize the risk, but getting that right and realizing governments aren't entities unto themselves. They try to solve market problems and try to build that infrastructure and bring in the partners. And then they need to move back and sort of let that industry, that infrastructure take hold and benefit the people and the economy and society as a whole. The digital infrastructure is where I'm going to end. It's exploding in Africa. Africa is where digital is happening faster than anywhere else in the world. The next billion people that come online, half of those will be from Africa, will be magnificent. And it allows you to leapfrog over all the other developed countries. It allows you to sort of change and put intellectual capital and to bring talent from every source into the mix. And that includes youth, that includes women, it also includes other people that may not have thought that they were valued members of society. And the last thing I will say on that front is there's a lot of talk here about entrepreneurship. This conference is full of entrepreneurs, really fantastic people that have ideas. The one criticism I have of really the entire Middle East, North Africa region is you have to create an ecosystem that lets you talented people experiment. Maybe you're going to fail, but you shouldn't have to go to jail. You shouldn't be blackballed. You shouldn't be in a situation where after you've tried to put something on the table. The secret of Silicon Valley is the winners in Silicon Valley have failed 2 or 3 or 4 times. They've come back and they've worked on reassembling what they learned. That is the secret of success when it comes to high growth entrepreneurship. I really love all of you and the people that I've met here, but the one substantive thing I can share with you is that the legal dimensions of that, the financial dimensions, and getting rid of the stigma that if you try and launch something, it doesn't work, then the next thing that all of you should do is say, okay, how do we help you try again? That is the most important thing. That's the dynamism I felt here last night and this morning, and I was surprised by it. It's been a humbling experience to meet all of you and to see that, and I hope that you'll have me back again and I can spend more time with you. But I wanted to say congratulations to all of you. What an exciting forum, and congratulations. Africa is great now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stephen Clemens. It has been an honor, and have a great flight home. Right, so this was an introductory keynote address before the start of the last plenary session of the African Investment and Business Forum, the Rendezvous of Algiers. Right now we're going to have a small break, waiting for everybody.
مشاهدينا، كما كنتم تتابعون فعاليات مباشرة لاختتام فعاليات المنتدى الإفريقي مباشرة من المركز الدولي للمؤتمرات. عبد اللطيف رحال. كنتم تستمعون إلى كلمة ستيف كليمون، صحفي أمريكي ومدون. إذا مشاهدينا، كما تعلمون أنه دام المنتدى الإفريقي للاستثمار مدة 3 أيام في انتظار كلمة لوزير الخارجية رمضان العمامرة. إلى ذلكم الحين إذا كان كذلك الزميل فاتح بومرجان، يبدو أن فاتح بومرجان غير جاهز. كذلك كما قلت مشاهدينا، إذن هو المنتدى الوطني أو المنتدى الإفريقي للاستثمار الذي دام 3 أيام، وكل ما جاء فيه كنتم تتابعون تغطيات خاصة من قصر المؤتمرات مع الزميل فاتح بومرجان. سنوافيكم بأبرز وبتفاصيل أخرى في نشراتنا الإخبارية اللاحقة.